There was one big mistake that I was making as an amateur photographer, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. That one thing was consistent color grades in my photos. Having consistent color grades within your photo sets is what I personally believe will begin to separate your photos from the millions that are already out there online. Because I believe that when you're able to do that, you're showing that you have a deep understanding of your editing process, and in my opinion, it shows your potential clients that you're able to edit their photos to match their brand style. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through my editing process, giving you the tips and tricks that I use to get consistent color grades within my photo sets. Okay, so first, before we do anything, we need to ask ourselves, what is this project going to be used for? If we were creating a project for a client versus just posting on Instagram, that project could look a whole lot different. If it's for a client though, you want to look at their brand colors beforehand and then sit down, have a conversation with them and ask, would you like me to follow the same color pattern that you already have set? Or would you like me to create something more unique? Having this communication between you and your clients is really going to boost that experience for your clients because it shows that you care about their brand and that you have a high level of detail. But on the other hand, if we have more freedom with our project, we need to figure out what kind of a look we want to go with. I can't really define what this looks like for you because we all have our own creative perspectives, but what I can help you with is finding those creative looks so that you can take inspiration and apply that into your own work. So I generally pull inspiration from 3 different sources. The first is ShotDeck, the second is Behance, and the third is Instagram. ShotDeck is a website that pulls movie stills from over 2,600 movies, and you can go on there, search up different movies that you may like, or you can go on the left side and click on one of their pre-made search filters. I don't generally use this site as much as like Behance or Instagram because I feel like the looks are pushed more aggressive than what I want to show my potential clients, but sometimes it just comes down to the shoot. I really like pulling from Behance because that's where a lot of the top professional industry leaders are posting their photos, so that just gives me a lot of high-level inspiration for look creation. Oh hey, that rhymed. Even though you can look up photos within your niche, I tend to just like going through the search page because it gives me a lot of different inspiration from different industries that people are shooting, so I get a really wide pull of inspiration. On Instagram, I tend to look at more of the videographers' pages because they push a lot more of those creative looks. I personally think that those creative looks are more accepted within the video sphere, but at the odd time you'll see a photographer that's pushing their looks, like a photographer like Aaron Brimhall. Okay, so now that we talked about inspiration, let's jump into Lightroom and I'll walk you through a series that I've been working on and how I'm getting consistent color grades from image to image. When I begin working on a series, I love to just dial in one image exactly the way that I want. Sometimes it can take me 2 minutes and other times it can take me 20 minutes. It really just depends on if I know exactly where I want to push my image or if I'm going for more of an original creative look. Most of my process recently has just been filtering through the creative LUTs that I've made previously, and then I will just build off of that. In this shoot specifically, I really could have went with a lot of different color grades and a lot of different looks, but I wanted to enhance that fall vibe. It's such a unique time of year and I feel like people really connect with that because it's such a short season, so I really want to capitalize on that within my photos. Anyways, we're going to take this initial grade that I created that I'm really happy with, and then we're going to apply it to my images, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do that. And this is where we start creating our consistent looks. The second method here is the one that I use the most, but I think it's still important to know the first method. So the first is we can create our own custom LUTs and then apply that to the rest of the images. Okay, so what we're going to do is go up to the tab that says preset. We're going to hit plus. We're going to do create preset, and now we can name our preset. So I'm going to call this bright fall, and generally I do all caps if this is a preset that I know that I'm going to be using consistently. In the settings, you can choose any of the settings that you want. The only things that I don't have selected are the masking because that changes with each different photo, and I don't do the transform. So everything else I'm generally using. Other than those, all I need to do is just hit create. So now I go into my user presets. I see bright fall. If I want to add that to my favorites, double click and then go add to favorites, and now it's up in our favorites tab. Okay, so now if we go to our next photo, we can go up to our preset. All we need to do is click on bright fall. We can go decrease the amount, we can increase the amount, and sometimes this can be nice by decreasing the amount. See, now when I double click on this slider, it goes right back to your middle ground, which is 100. When I pull that down, it controls the highlights a little bit more, things like that. It just controls the image better. But generally what I'm doing is I will just leave that at 100%. And then if it needs fixes, I'll go up to the basic slider, bring down the exposure. We're just gonna bring down the shadows, things like that. And the image starts to look much better now. So presets is the first way that we can take a color grade from one image and then apply it to the rest. Now the second way is by copying your color grade and then pasting it via thumbnail. So at the bottom here, you're gonna see these thumbnails, and so you're gonna right click, you're gonna go up to develop settings, copy settings, and then this gives you all the options just the same. So I have everything selected except for mask, except for healing, crop, transform, things like that. So I go to copy, and then I go over to my next image. I will right click on that as well, go to develop settings, the same, paste settings. Now, does the exact same thing, which is perfect. Or if you want to do something that does the same, right click on that thumbnail again, go to develop settings, and you can go paste settings from previous. And this is going to take all that metadata from the last photo that you did, and then it's going to apply that to this photo. So I'm going to hit that, it's going to read it, it does the crop, it does all the lighting, everything like that. It does masks, so if I go into the masks, now it has all these masks, so I can turn them off, turn them on, see what it's doing. Yeah. So this applies everything, whereas if you develop settings, you have more control of what's going to be applied. Now you'll notice one thing: when I applied this exact same color grade to an image that was in the exact same environment, it does not look as good as what the other one did. The issues that are often introduced was because there was a change within the lighting and the white balance. But now, because we know where the problems are, we can go in and fix that. So with this photo, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go to the exposure. First, I'm gonna bring down the exposure, but then you can see, oh, well, the shadows are getting too dark. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring up those blacks a little bit. And maybe, yeah, it's starting to look a little bit washed out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring down that contrast just a little bit. I wanna keep a lot of contrast even still. I'm gonna bring up those blacks. Gonna drop those shadows a little bit more to kind of make up for that. So realistically, it's all just a push and pull game. If you lower one slider, you're gonna have to raise another one. And if you raise one, you're gonna have to lower another. It's all just figuring out that proper balance. So now this image is starting to look a lot more like our other shot. So if we want to see what it looks like compared to our other shot, we can go down to our reference views. So I'm going to click this R and A button here. I'm going to click on the thumbnail at the bottom, drag it up, and now we can see what it looks like side by side. I think that these match very well. And if you want to get out of that RNA version, you just click on this box here, and now we're back to our single view. But let's say that the color was way off. What can we do then? So first, what we're gonna do is we're going to attack the white balance slider. So if it needs to be more cool tones, we're gonna pull to the left. If it needs to be warmer, we're gonna pull to the right. So I'm gonna hit Command Z just to go back, and it's just going to reset, or you can double tap here and it's going to reset as well. But when you push a heavy grade, that's not always going to fix everything. So we need to go where our grade was pushed, and that's in the color grading tab. So you can go to the color grading tab and you can start figuring out where the problem is within your image, and you can start decreasing, increasing, moving the hue slider on each your highlights, midtone, shadows, wherever you initially push that first look, and then you can kind of figure out from there where the issue's coming in. But a lot of it is just testing out to see where that is coming into your image, where the problem is. So rule of thumb, when applying a color grade to multiple images, you're gonna be able to dial in those exact same looks with a few tweaks with your lighting and within the color grading tab. It can be challenging sometimes to figure out exactly where that problem is right off the hop, but when you start working with images more and manipulating the lighting and the color grading, you'll start to get an eye for where those problems are starting to introduce in your photos. It took me a long time to build these skills, including taking a long, extensive color grading course. So don't get discouraged if it takes you a while to get the hang of this, but I believe that if you implement these techniques that I shared, you'll be able to get those consistent color grades within your photo sets a lot faster than what I did. If you want to see my color grading process step by step on this exact series, subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to be posting that very soon. And if you want to see how I did the shot selection for this project, click this video right here. I'll see you over there. Peace.